Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, on your favorite talk show program Viewpoint on DBS television. Schools resumed yesterday for examination classes, and today, Tuesdays, they are set to resume in the northwest and the southwest regions, given that Monday was Ghost Town. That is one of the topic or the major topics that we are going to be discussing tonight. Viewpoint is a program that is divided into two parts. The first part has to do with the yes or no and answer questions, and the second part has to do with the debate. Here with us in the studio at my right hand side, we are having our guest, that is Professor Mark Anthony. He is a social anthropologist. Good evening to you, Professor, and thank you for responding once more to our invitation.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, and I want to say good evening to the million viewers out there, and I want you to stay glued to your TV, because I think this evening we'll be analyzing some issues that are actually pertinent to the state of our nation, and as well as the global state of things around the world right now.
Thank you very much. Mange Venashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers.
In a moment or in seconds, let us have a transition, and we'll be right back for the first part of the show. Once more, welcome back. Let us take our first question for today. Are other educational stakeholders involved in school resumption? I'll begin with you, Professor. Yes or no?
No.
They are not involved. Mange Venashus?
Yes, Vanessa.
Yes. Question number 2. Could school resumption interrupted by COVID-19 accelerate effective classes in the trouble-hit northwest and southwest regions? Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa.
No. And to you, sir?
The answer is no.
No. Question number 3. Are Cameroonians convinced of COVID-19? Professor?
To an extent, they are not.
To an extent, they are not.
Yes.
So, which one do I take? Yes or no?
Just take a no, because
all right,
I'm going to justify it.
Take a no. Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa, they are not.
No, they are not. And our last question for today is: the World Health Organization actually working to ameliorate the health condition of its citizens? I begin with you, Professor.
No.
No. Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa.
No. No as well. All right. This is your point of view. Stay tuned for the debate. Will be tough. First question, we ask whether are educational stakeholders involved in school resumption. Professor, I begin with you. You said no. Does it mean that schools, does it mean that parents, does it mean that the learners themselves are not actually involved in the activity of resuming school?
Before talking about learners, we talk about the teachers.
Okay.
Before the government actually took this decision of school reopening, the first people they would have actually consulted were teachers. But they never consulted teachers. And the fact that they didn't consult teachers is already a proof that they are not involved in the decision making. They are the ones that are actually teaching the children, but they were not consulted before telling them you go back to class. And that is an error that the government committed. And you see, the student union, the teachers union actually wrote some points that they expected that for schools to resume, they need to be fulfilled. But I don't think any of them were fulfilled. If some, but they never hit. The government never hit to their cry. That also is an issue. And apart from that, parents are supposed to be consulted whether their children should go to school or not. I don't think there's any parent that was consulted to actually make this decision.
But Professor, you and I, we know that if parents are being consulted, we are going to be having different views.
You see, the issue of a government exists for the people, not for itself. The interest of the people is what is supposed to be in the heart of every government. And when the people are not consulted for the issues that concern them and decisions are taken, for example, I'll quote a situation that just took place in, I think it's Menchu, where because of the COVID-19, IDEO is struggling to get an age-old tradition that has been practiced in the nation for a long period of time. It just comes up and right. We are not in a colonial system. I don't expect that the government should act as if the citizens are no people. You are not imposing things on them. If we call it a democracy, then we must get to work with the people. Decisions should be taken. Yes, there are some decisions that cannot be taken just like that. You consult. But the final decision is taken by the government. But was there any consultation? No. And that's where I came in and I said, no. The people are not part of this decision. They didn't decide to be taught. Why? Because everybody, most of them who are taking these shots and decisions, they are sitting in their big offices. Their children are confined. And they have the best way of learning. But they expect the common man in the street to release his children to go to school. I will tell you something. Yesterday I was monitoring something. You asked me a couple of minutes ago before we started if actually schools have resumed. Do I know if schools have resumed? I said no, because yesterday I was monitoring something. I watched something. I saw a young man. I'm sure he had his mask in his back. He was going to school. The way he was playing on the road.
A student.
I looked at it and then I turned and told my next neighbor, look at this child who's going to school. Do you think if he plays like this and picked it, okay, there were other children walking along with him. If they infect one another on the way, were they in class? It's on the way they got infected, not in class. And as a result of that, when you arrive in class, they say they should sit, they take all the measures. They have been infected already. So when they come back home, they infect the home. And at the end of the day, why? Because children were released on the streets. We could send out people, adults who are thinking, but not kids who are still to understand anything.
All right. Thank you very much for your viewpoint, Professor Mange Venashus. You rather think that these stakeholders are involved in the aspect of school resumptions?
Stakeholders in this question, I was looking at them as we're talking of parents, we're talking of the school environment, and the government, and then the learners. The government falls under the school environment because we're talking of government schools and then the lay private schools. And we have, because there's this thing that we talk of, the triangle, the learning triangle that is made up of the learner, the school authority where teachers and proprietors are found, and then the parent. All these three, they form what we call the learning triangle. And these are the educational stakeholders that we are talking of here. Asking whether they are involved in this school resumption, I say yes, they are involved because we have the learners, they are in school. We have the schools are opened, so they are involved, and we have the parent. They have sent home, they have sent their children, they have provided face masks, hand sanitizers, and the necessities that these children need. Remember, when the government announced that schools were to resume, there was this rule that was that was asked that parents should make sure that they respect that each child should be self-sufficient. You should come with your food, with your water, with your pen, pencil, ruler. You don't bake anything. That is, you don't share anything among the students or the kids. They should just be self-sufficient. And once you come, you sit on your bench and you will leave there straight home. There is no break. To make sure that they limit the kind of social interaction between the students and the pupils. And I think parents, each parent, as we've had, if any parent is sending the child home, each parent should have, at their own level, explain to the child the consequences, the risk involved with neglecting to use your face mask. Because most of these children, they are coming from home with the face mask. I said most. They are coming with their face mask on. They are coming with, well equipped, ready to, to avoid it. They are coming with the notion that we have to wash our hands. The schools have provided whether it's the state or the schools, they have provided the running or a washing point where they wash their hands and all this. It is true that when we talk of government is out for the people. When the government decided that schools should go on recess on the 17th of March, they did not consult the parent. Now the government is deciding that schools should resume. And remember, it's not a Cameroonian phenomenon. It is in other countries across. The schools are gradually reopening. We use the word gradually because only the examination classes, and we're expecting that if things become under control, maybe in October 5th, as they are saying, schools will finally resume. And when you see, it is a progressive resumption because we are talking of only the Op 6 and the terminal classes that are resuming. Class 6, Kumoyen 6, Kumoyen 2. From 5 for now, they have not resumed yet. They will be resuming.
To kick off on Thursday.
Yes, they are still, because they, we're still studying the way things are. But then I would think that when we talk of cooperation, there is no other group that is isolated. Teachers are in school. We are not refusing the fact that some teachers in some schools are claiming that, not claiming, they are asking for their salaries, they have not been paid, or salaries have been slashed. Those are realities that we are living with. But then the fact remains that when I take the learning triangle, I see the learners are there, I see the parents are there, I see the educational community, the educational sector, that is the schools, yes, the teachers, the proprietors, they are there. And I conclude that the stakeholders involved in the teaching learning process, they are cooperating, they are involved in this school resumption. Vanessa,
thank you very much for your viewpoint, Mange Venatius. Professor, let us take our second question for today, because I've been seeing you've been wanting to add something.
I actually wanted to differ on some situations there, but
Professor, you are probably, I think you are free.
No, because of time constraint, I think we should go to the second question. Nevertheless, the topic will come up as frequent as possible for us to have more insight on this. In our second question, could school resumption interrupted by COVID-19 accelerate effective classes in the trouble hit northwest and southwest regions? And Professor, you think that it cannot, but then we'll see that things are relatively calm and they are set to resume school today.
When you say relatively calm, I don't understand the language you're actually implying, because before even COVID-19 came, schools were under stress over there in the northwest. I don't think that with the COVID-19 anything stopped. Why? Because we still had a lot of things that were happening during the same period. We still had a lot of shootings, killings within the same period of COVID-19, which implies that nothing actually changed. We thought maybe with the presence of this COVID-19, some of the kidnappings, some of the killings were supposed to stop. And I want to still believe that teachers are still afraid that if they go to school, those boys will attack them. Because the real fear now is not the military, it's those boys. Yes. The government has always said everything is in control, but nothing has ever been in control since. Because everyday lives are still attacked. People still are going through situations which they are not supposed to go through. And a lot of parents, especially those who are not in the urban settings, they are afraid, literally afraid. So you don't expect them to send their children to school, knowing that before COVID-19 came, they had given them warnings. If you send your children to school, it's either they can kill the child or do something else. So it would be wise for such a person to say, no, I better not. So in this case, has COVID-19 actually changed any situation so that we should expect proper school resumption? I will not accept that, because we thought might be, just like I was listening to Donald Trump yesterday, and I saw him reacting to the situation in his country the same way our president reacted when the situation happened in the northwest region. So I was like, wow, these presidents know how to use violence to solve violence. So they use violence to deal with violence. Somebody was speaking to me yesterday, and I told the person at times, the best way to deal with violence is to use violence. So with that, I realized that at times it is easy to speak about peace, about dialogue, but practically it becomes a problem. So the problem that happened in the Northwest region was supposed to be handled from a tactical viewpoint. But when let's say the lives of at least 2 or 3 military people were dealt with, were taken,
mm-hmm.
after a lot of civilian lives had been taken and no reaction, after 3, there was a reaction. And that reaction was, let there be war against those guys. And as a result of that, it provoked the whole situation. But if it was tactically handled, I don't think by now we would have still been in this situation. When it started, even with the teachers and lawyers, if they tactically handled it, we would never have gone into this situation. But look at it. Today we are unable to send children to school. Today we are talking of the rebuilding of Northwest and Southwest, reconstruction of Northwest and Southwest. Money is going to be entering into something that was not meant to enter. I believe that if the thing was handled well, students would have freely been going to school right now. And I'll tell you, my children lost 2 sessions of going 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be 3. Just that this year we said no, let's change around.
And coronavirus has come again to disrupt the rest of the academic year. So at this time, I would not want to stand to support any situation like, okay, because school resumption is taking place due to the interruption by corona, mm-hmm.
things will be okay. No, things will not be okay.
Mange Venashus, you are supporting Professor's viewpoints tonight. He says that it will be very dangerous for the teachers, for the learners, and for parents even to send their children to school in these heat regions.
Yes, whether the coronavirus has accelerated effective classes in the Northwest and Southwest regions, I said no, it has instead aggravated the situation.
True.
Because before coronavirus, Vanessa, if we have to face the reality, schools were going in the Northwest region in most, in the regional capital. That is in Yaoundé, in Bamenda and Boya.
True.
In the interiors of these regions, there were no schools. That is why the reality on the ground is teachers are not there because they are afraid of their lives. They are here in Douala, in Bafoussam, in Yaoundé. Let us be realistic. Parents are not there in the villages. They are either in the bushes or they have taken refuge in Douala, Yaoundé, or Bafoussam, or in the north, or Adamawa region.
Some are even in Nigeria.
So some are in Nigeria. They are not yet back in their villages. Mm-hmm. So there is no way we can talk of effective schools in this part of the country because there has been no school at all. Only the few ones that were in the regional capital. Take, for example, Bamenda and Boya. And with the COVID-19 pandemic now, it has instead aggravated the situation. Before then, we were afraid of the Amber Boys or the military. Now we are afraid of a third invisible enemy, which neither the Amber Boys nor the military can stop. So you cannot venture you cannot venture to show your head, because before then we were saying that no, the military is there in upstation, schools can go because Amber Boys cannot come right up to upstation. Mm-hmm. Coronavirus does not know any bound. Mm-hmm. Coronavirus does not know Amber Boy or military. Mm-hmm. So coronavirus invades every sector. So once you venture to go out, corona takes you. And remember, Bamenda is already bordering the chart in Cameroon to be among the highly infected regions. Yes. So it has instead aggravated the situation. But this another point is with the rate at which these two regions are completely inaccessible between them, people cannot move anyhow. Imagine somebody who is hidden in Akwaya, he cannot move freely to Boya, and he is contaminated by coronavirus. How would they transport the person to the student? We are talking about schools. Mm-hmm. Yes, how would they transport the student to the isolation center in Boya? So given these conditions, we are talking of rebuilding the Northwest and Southwest regions. As of this morning, they were still talking of exchange of gun in Kumbu. So the war is still ongoing. So there is no way. The students now are faced with the third enemy, like I said. After the Amber Boys, after the military, it is not coronavirus. So instead, it has reduced the rate at which schools would have been going on. But then we pray that when God would save things with coronavirus, let him also solve the issue of the war so that life at least can come back to normalcy in this part of the region of the country.
Yes.
A wake-up call to all our viewers watching us from the northwest and the southwest regions. Manga Venashus, question 3. We are asking whether Cameroonians are convinced that COVID-19 is real. And you don't think that Cameroonians are convinced?
No, I don't think so.
Why?
Because the manner at which we are approaching the pandemic is as if nothing is happening. When you see European countries, the rate at which they are afraid of coronavirus, the black man has proven that the virus has no, that the virus, at least it understands us. You know?
Maybe they claim that they have a stronger
It's not a question
system.
of claiming. It's not a question of claiming. Statistics are showing that the death rate in Africa is not what they expected. And with that, Vanessa, look at when they announced that off licenses and bars, nightclubs could open. Look at the way we celebrated in Cameroon. It was just like saying that coronavirus has ended. Before then, the fear, when we had 5 cases in Cameroon on the 17th of March, schools were closed. Life was as if the world is coming to an end. After about 2 weeks, nothing was happening. After about 1 month, when the government relaxed the measures, people started moving about without face mask. Whereas medical personnel still tell us that the virus is there, it is contaminating. If not only medical personnel, the statistics shows a sharp increase. We are going up. We have passed 6,000 cases. Death rate is increasing. So I think that Cameroonians are still to believe that the virus exists, because if we believed that the virus exists, they should not have been telling you to wear your face mask. We would not have had. We have the SGO for Vuri division here, following what his counterpart in Fundi division did, where they are going to use force to make sure that people should wear face masks. It's like telling you that we will use force to make sure that you live. We will use force to tell you that you can die. So that is what Cameroonians are showing, that coronavirus is not existing. Anyway, I don't blame them, because the virus has not taken the same propensity that it has taken in Western countries.
In the Western country. Thank you very much for your viewpoint. Professor, as a social anthropologist, how do you read the mindset of these Cameroonians that find it so hard or so difficult to be convinced that coronavirus do exist?
You know, when you go back looking at the sequence of things happening, you realize that with a black man, he has a way of analyzing things. It depends on what actually happened to him that permits him now to conclude whether the thing is real or not. A lot of people who ask the question, how many persons in my family have been affected? They don't see any. So they claim that because there's nobody in my family, then it doesn't really exist. A lot of people don't even know if there is any infected case, because in relation to the understanding, those who are sick are supposed to be quarantined. They don't see those who are quarantined. They don't see those who are hospitalized. So a lot of people have doubts in their mind if for real.
But at least they see recoveries.
Recoveries, nobody has seen any recovery, because they have heard of recoveries. They have heard of the sorry numbers, but they have not seen anyone. When a sickness exists that is only heard over the media, a lot of people doubt its existence. And you see, many people have the right to doubt. Somebody asked me a question the other day. The president, who is the head of the nation, when he came out to make his speech, was he putting on a mask? When he received the 2 guests in his office, did he put on a mask?
No way.
So if the leader is not putting on the mask, then it means that the people can live like that. So why should they force the people to put their own mask? I'm walking with my mask everywhere, I put it on. But I know the effect of putting on a mask as well. Because as long as it is there, I'm killing myself, I'm not helping myself. And that's the intent of the mask. Am I saying that people should not put it on? You must learn how to protect yourself. That's, for me, the best way to stay out of this thing is to stay at home. You breathe well. But when you take this thing, you inhale carbon dioxide, which goes inside and helps to collapse your lungs. And when that happens, you are a dead man. So, which one will kill fast? Is it the mask or is it the sickness? I don't want to be talking much about the sickness, but I want to say that a lot of people have, in fact, they have not yet accepted that thing is in existence.
That is in existence.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor, for coming. Maybe because of time constraint, we could continue the program tomorrow.
It's okay.
All right. But an advice to our televiewers watching us at this particular moment.
I want to say, for a long period of time, we have been clowning around this COVID-19 stuff. But I will not want any Cameroonian to consider it as a joke. Why? Because it is real. It is actually real. But we can overcome it when we stay at home. Staying at home is the best solution to it. And if you are walking on the streets, make sure you have a mask. If you are afraid of putting on the mask, then you should better not walk among people. Stay indoors.
Stay indoors. Stay confined. Manga Venashus, your own advice to our televiewers?
Vanessa, I've always insisted on this issue, like the professor is saying, that each and every one of us has the duty to self-preserve himself or herself before any other person. I am protecting myself first, then in the course of protecting myself, I help to protect my family, protect my colleagues, my neighbors, and in that case, we are going to bar the way for this coronavirus. But then if we think that some other people will do it for us, they will contaminate you, and you will in turn contaminate others. So we should take it as, as a duty to make sure that coronavirus will not pass through me. If it will not pass through me, like the professor is saying, stay at home, or you wear a mask and wear it discreetly, because you have to also self-protect yourself from the adverse effect of the mask.
Itself.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. Tomorrow is another day, and thank you also, televiewers, for watching us tonight. Do stay tuned for programs continue on DBS television. We keep the suspense. Take a rendezvous. We'll be right back again, God willing.